That's the exact time mine is. Where are you going? What? Me too. Wow, what are the chances? I just happened to bump in someone who's going exactly where I'm going. The same flight. Well, I guess we both have a lot of time before the flight begins then. So, not to be annoying, but what were you planning on doing with your time? Yeah, same. I think I'm just gonna hang around. I don't want to be late, even though it is a little delayed, they said. Yeah, since you hear the announcement, it's gonna be a little delayed, which is why I was out here. I didn't really know what to do with myself, so I thought I would just get some fresh air. So don't worry, you're not gonna be late or anything. But hey, cool. I guess we can make friends here, huh? You and me. Is that weird? Well, we are gonna share a long flight together, so might as well know someone on the plane. Or are you traveling with someone? Really? Me too. I'm traveling alone. More reason to carry on conversation then, and perhaps strike up a friendship. I mean, why not? Life's short, and strangers are interesting. It's funny though that you almost told me the time. Do you even know what day it is? I know sometimes I forget. Yeah, it's Saturday. Have you ever wondered why there's only 7 days in a week? Is that a weird question? I guess I just kind of wonder about a lot of things, and that's one of the things I've wondered about. Or do you already know the answer? Smarty pants. I bet you do. You look like one of those intelligent types. Very Albert Einstein-esque. Bill Nye, the Science God. We should look up why there's 7 days in a week. That might be interesting. Seriously, I want to know. And it's not like we have anything else better to do with our time. We are just waiting after all. Waiting. How long are we gonna wait just not doing anything? It definitely shouldn't be more than 5 minutes. Well, I'll look it up way to remember is if you remember the ones that aren't involved. So if you just remember that Earth, Neptune, Uranus, and Pluto. Wait, Earth, Neptune, Uranus, Pluto. Earth, Neptune, Uranus, Pluto. You just have to remember that those ones aren't included. But let's keep going. Roman gods named days of the week. However, historians generally agree that it was the Romans who, a few hundred years later, added many features of the modern 7-day week by adapting the Babylonian system to their worldview. From around the 1st century BCE, they introduced a system where each day was named after one of their pagan gods, each of whom was associated with one of the classical planets. For example, Saturday was Saturni, the day of Saturn. In most Latin-based languages, the names of the weekdays still reveal this connection to the classical planets. However, in many cases, the Roman deities have been replaced by their Norse or Germanic equivalents. Let's keep going. The order of the weekdays. Ooh, that one seems interesting. Like the modern names of the weekdays, their order within a week has its roots in ancient Rome. The Romans observed the speed at which the classical planets crossed the sky and concluded that the fastest object must have the shortest distance to the Earth, while the slowest object was believed to be farthest away. This resulted in the following order from greatest to shortest assumed distance from Earth, displayed here with the associated day of the week. Saturn was Saturday. Jupiter is Thursday. Mars is Tuesday. The Sun is Sunday. That one's easy to remember, and so is Saturday. Venus is Friday. Mercury is Wednesday. And the Moon is Monday. And I guess in order from furthest or closest to furthest, it's saying that the Moon is closest. The second closest to Earth is Mercury, then Venus, then the Sun, then Mars, then Jupiter, then Saturn. Did you know that? I'm trying to figure out a way if we can remember these. Like, obviously we're going to know that Sunday is associated with the Sun. That one's easy. And Saturday is associated with Saturn. That one's easy. I think another easy one could be that the Moon is associated with Monday because they both start with M-O. I think another easy remembrance is that Mercury is Wednesday because they both have Y in their names. Yeah, of course, all the days have Y's, but forget that little point. Mercury Wednesday, Mercury Wednesday. Venus is Friday. I guess a good way to remember that is that Venus is love and Friday is when people go out on dates. I don't know. Mars being Tuesday and Jupiter being Thursday would be kind of hard to remember. Jupiter, 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 Jupiter. I guess let's quiz each other at the end and see if we remember. I'll say it one more time so you remember for later. Saturn is Saturday. Jupiter is Thursday. Mars is Tuesday. The Sun is Sunday. Venus is Friday. Mercury is Wednesday. And the Moon is Monday. And then we have the distance. there's a tiny little helpful chart. It says day 1, the moon, Monday. Day 2, Mars, Tuesday. Day 3, Mercury, Wednesday. We already knew this. Day 4, Jupiter, Thursday. Day 5, Venus, Friday. Day 6, Saturn, Saturday. Day 7, Sun, Sunday. But we already knew that. This corresponds to the order of today's 7-day week. Okay, I'm gonna do a little pub quiz on you. Ready? I'm gonna say a day of the week, and you're going to say the corresponding planet without cheating. Are you ready? Okay. Monday. What planet is associated with Monday? Yeah, it's the moon. Okay. What planet is associated with Tuesday? Think about it. Yeah, it's Mars. Okay. What planet is associated with Wednesday? Yeah, it's Mercury. Okay. What planet is associated with Thursday? Yeah, it's Jupiter. Okay, and what about what planet is associated with Friday? Remember the little trick I said? Yeah, Venus. Okay, and what about Saturday? Yeah, Saturn. And Sunday is perfect, the sun. But can you remember the distance from those 7 planets to the Earth? Like which is closest, which is furthest? Here, let's test this. What is the first of those 7 that is closest to Earth? Yeah, the moon. Okay, what's the second closest? Yeah, Mercury. Okay, what about the third? Come on, think about it. Yeah, Venus. You're doing really good. Okay, what's the fourth? Remember this one? We made a big deal about it. Yes, the sun. Okay, what's the fifth one? Think about it. Yeah, Mars. Okay, what is the sixth one? Yeah, Jupiter. Okay, and the last one? Yep, Saturn. I think we're even smarter than we were, what, like 5 minutes ago? It always feels good when you learn something. Don't you agree? And just think about it. I can quiz you the whole entire time on the plane ride. Wouldn't that be fun, just to be quizzed? Quick, what planet is associated with Wednesday? Just kidding. I bet you know it though. Yep, see, I knew you knew it. Wednesday is Mercury. You're so smart. It's a shame we won't really get to see the planets well up in the sky. You would need, what do you call it for that? No, what do you call it? You would need a space shuttle. We would have to be astronauts rather than plane passengers for that. Maybe one day. Kind of interesting when you think about the type of people that would want to be astronauts and the type of least on Earth, there'd be, I guess, rescue efforts that could be made. But once you're in space, you're kind of on your own. It's just one of those things. I won't scare you though, because I know we're gonna get on a flight soon. Don't worry, it'll be completely safe and peaceful. Do you fly a lot? Yeah, I travel pretty frequently. Well, I guess more than the average person, maybe. Why are you going where you're going? Can you tell me, or is it personal? I know sometimes people don't like to share things about themselves. So I'm just curious though. I can tell you why I'm going. I'm just going to see some friends. I almost said family because I think of them as family, but they're friends. I've flown a lot for friends, and they've flown a lot for me. You know that there's some people who are afraid of flying. Are you one of them? Because I know that there's some people who are afraid but still do it anyway. They'll just either like get drunk or take medication or, just close their eyes or try to fall asleep or something. Yeah, I mean, everyone's different. I guess one thing we know is that pilots never have that fear, and good for them. That's such a scary task to take on. I feel like pilots are brave. Oh, for sure. It's like one of those underrated jobs. They're like the unsung heroes. Imagine flying a whole aircraft. How do we not praise them more? Well, we should. I wonder what it was like to fly back in the day. Like, who do you think? Oh, you know what I just thought of? I was about to say, who do you think was like the first pilot, but wasn't it the Wright brothers? Do you know that history? But wait, do you know who Amelia Earhart is? She was like the first, I don't know if she was the first woman pilot or like the first woman pilot to attempt to fly somewhere, but she ended up getting lost. Do you know her story? Do you want to know her story? We can look into it right now. That might be fun. Wait, let's see if we can see anything. You know what? Let's put Amelia on pause for a second because I want to check something about the Wright brothers. Because, like I said, I think they're the pioneers of flying. Do you know anything about them? Let's see if we can find out some things. The Wright brothers, Orville Wright, was born August 19, 1871, and Wilbur Wright was born April 16, 1867. Wait, check this out. Well, first of all, Wilbur and Orville are very names for their times-esque, but also, April 16, that's an Aries, so Wilbur's an Aries. August 19, is that August 19? Is that a Leo or a Virgo? Well, let's see what it says. The Wright brothers, Orville Wright and Wilbur Wright, were American aviation pioneers, generally credited with inventing, building, and flying the world's first successful airplane. They made the first controlled, sustained flight of an engine-powered, heavier-than-air aircraft with the Wright Flyer on December 17, 1903, 4 approach differed significantly from other experimenters of the time, who put more emphasis on developing powerful engines. Using a small home-built wind tunnel, the Wrights also collected more accurate data than any before, enabling them to design more efficient wings and propellers. I wonder why they were so inspired and what drove them to this creation. Excuse me, I had to sneeze. It says the brothers gained the mechanical skills essential to their success by working for years in their Dayton, Ohio-based shop with printing presses, bicycles, motors, and other machinery. Their work with bicycles, in particular, influenced their belief that an unstable vehicle, such as a flying machine, could be controlled and balanced with practice. This was a trend, as many other aviation pioneers were also dedicated cyclists and involved in the bicycle business in various ways. That's really interesting. From 1900 until their first powered flights in late 1903, the brothers conducted extensive glider tests that also developed their skills as pilots. Their shop mechanic, Charles Taylor, became an important part of the team, building their first airplane engine in close collaboration with the brothers. The Wright brothers' status as inventors of the airplane has been subject to numerous counterclaims. Much controversy persists over the many. Okay, so even though they're credited as the first, it looks like there's competing claims. I hadn't heard of those before. Should we see who they were? It says several aviators have been claimed to be by a powered aeroplane. Much controversy surrounds these claims. It is generally accepted today that the Wright brothers were the first to achieve sustained and controlled manned flight in 1903. It is popularly held in Brazil that their native citizen, Alberto Santos Dumont, was the first successful aviator, discounting the Wright brothers' claim because their flyer took off from a rail and in later flights would sometimes employ a catapult. An editorial in the 2013 edition of Jane's All the World's Aircraft supported the claim of Gustave Whitehead. Claims of other pioneers, such as Clement Adair, have also been put forward from time to time. Significant claims. Several aviators or their supporters have laid claim to the first manned flight in a powered aeroplane. Claims that have received significant attention include Clement Adair in the Avion 3, 1897, Gustav Whitehead in his numbers 21 and 22 airplanes, 1901 to 1903, which would be exactly around the time that the Wright brothers were credited for theirs. Samuel Pierpont Langley's Aerodrome A, which was also in 1903. The Wright brothers in the Wright Flyer in 1903. Alberto Santos Dumont in the 14 Pies 1906. out a little bit more about the Wrights. Let's see their childhood. Wilbur and Orville Wright were two of 7 children born to Milton Wright, 1828 to 1917, a clergyman of English and Dutch ancestry, and Susan Catherine Corner, 1831 to 1889, of German and Swiss ancestry. Milton Wright's mother, Catherine Reeder, was descended from the progenitor of the Vanderbilt family, one of America's richest families, and the Huguenot Gano family of New Rochelle, New York. Wilbur and Orville were the 3rd greatest nephews of John Gano, the Revolutionary War Brigade chaplain who allegedly baptized President George Washington. Through John Gano, they were 5th cousins one time removed of billionaire and aviator Howard Hughes. Wilbur was born near in 1867, Orville in Dayton, Ohio in 1871. The brothers never married. The other Wright siblings were Reuchlin, Lauren, Catherine, twins Otis and Ida. The direct paternal ancestry goes back to a Samuel Wright, the name Reuchlin. Imagine naming your kid Reuchlin nowadays. It's kind of cool. No names. Distinctive first names. Well, I guess that explains Reuchlin. Wilbur was named for Wilbur Fisk, and Orville for Orville Dewey, both clergymen that Milton Wright admired. They were well and dwarfed to their friends, and in Dayton, their neighbors knew them simply as the bishop's kids or the bishop's boys. Because of their father's position as a bishop in the Church of the United Brethren in Christ, he traveled often, and the Wrights frequently moved 12 times before finally returning permanently to Dayton in 1884. In elementary school, Orville was given to mischief and was once expelled. In 1878, when the family lived in Cedar Rapids, their father brought him a toy helicopter for his 2 younger sons. The device was based on an invention of French aeronautical pioneer Alphonse Benard, made of paper, bamboo, with a rubber banded roll its rotor. It was about 1 foot long. Wilbur and Orville played with it until it broke, and then built their own. In later years, they pointed to their experience with the toy as the spark of their interest in flying. So wait, doesn't that mean that the helicopter existed before the plane then? Wait, let's look that up. Hold on. So wait, if the plane existed before the helicopter, then how come there was already a model of a helicopter when they were just children? I'm confused. Can you make sense of it? They had a toy helicopter that made them later make a plane when they were grown, but the helicopter wasn't even invented until after the plane. It says that 1903 was the plane and 1907 was the helicopter. I'm confused. Let's read a little further. Early career in research. Both brothers attended high school, but did not receive diplomas. was awarded posthumously to Wilbur on April 16, 1994, which would have been his 127th birthday. I guess he didn't need a high school diploma though, considering he invented the airplane. Or got it to fly. In late 1885 or early 1886, while playing an ice skating game with friends, Wilbur was struck in the face by a hockey stick by Oliver Crook, who later became a Seriallier. Interesting. Wilbur lost his front teeth. He had been vigorous and athletic until then, and although his injuries did not appear especially severe, he became withdrawn. He had planned to attend Yale. Instead, he spent the next few years largely housebound. During this time, he cared for his mother, who was terminally ill with tuberculosis, read extensively in his father's library, and ably assisted his father during times of controversy within the Brethren Church, but also expressed unease over his own lack of ambition. Well, we sure made a comeback then, huh? Orville dropped out of high school after his junior year to start a printing business in 1889, having designed and built his own printing press with Wilbur's help. Wilbur joined the print shop, and in March, the brothers launched a weekly newspaper, the West Side News. Subsequent issues listed Orville as publisher and Wilbur as editor on the masthead. In April 1890, they converted the paper to a daily, the evening item, but it lasted only 4 months. They then focused on commercial printing. One of their clients was Orville's friend and classmate Paul Laurence Dunbar, who rose to international acclaim as a groundbreaking African-American poet and writer. The Wrights printed the Dayton Tattler, a weekly newspaper that Dunbar edited. That sounds like a gossip rag. Capitalizing on the national bicycle craze spurred by the invention of the safety bicycle and its substantial advantages over the penny farthing design, in December 1892, the brothers opened a repair and sales shop, the Wright Cycle Exchange, later the Wright Cycle Company, and in 1896 began manufacturing their own brand. They used this endeavor to fund their growing interest in flight. In the earlier mid-1890s, they saw newspaper or magazine articles and probably photographs of the dramatic glides by Otto Lilienthal in Germany. Interesting. I can't help but feel that they lost out on a lot of good names for their newspaper, considering their last name was Wright. Like, they could have named it something like The Wright News, or, something funny like that. The Right Time, stuff like that. 1896 brought 3 important aeronautical events. In May, Smithsonian Institution Secretary Samuel Langley successfully flew an unmanned, steam-powered fixed-wing model aircraft. In mid-year, Chicago Engineer and Aviation Authority brought together several men who tested various types of gliders over the sand dunes along the shore of Lake Michigan. In August, Lilienthal was demolished in the plunge of his glider. These events lodged in the minds of the brothers, especially Lilienthal's passing. The Wright brothers later cited his passing as the point when their serious interest in flight research began. Wilbur said, Lilienthal was without question the greatest of the precursors, and the world owes exposed to a great debt. In May 1899, Wilbur wrote a letter to the Smithsonian Institution requesting information and publications about aeronautics. Drawing on the work of Sir George Cayley, Chanute, Lilithal, Leonardo da Vinci, and Langley, they began their mechanical aeronautical experimentation that year. The Wright brothers always presented a unified image to the public, the credit for their invention. Biographers note that Wilbur took the initiative in 1899 and 1900, writing of my machine and my plans when the first person singular became the plural we